Hey, y'all, welcome to episode 19 of the Late Night Vision Show. I am one of your co hosts, Jason from Outdoor Legacy Gear. And as always, I've got my co host, Hans from the Hans ETX YouTube channel. Hey, Hans.
Hey, Jason, what's going on? I think both of us are back in the state of Texas now. Feels good
We
to be.
are. We
Feels.
are here.
We just sound different. We just sound a little bit more cocky because we're back in Texas. I think. Isn't that right?
I think it's true. I think so. There's probably the people that are outside of Texas think we sound real cocky. So,
Well, oh, that's no doubt. And I tell you, we've gotten some rain here lately, and it's really over here where I'm at, up in I guess northeast Texas. Hogs have been moving a little bit better. Been able to shoot some hogs, and actually, I want to give a couple shout outs to Tucker Conway. Took me hunting last weekend, and a guy named Destry Foshi and Brad Corando out in Lindale area took me hunting, and man, we had a great time. Killed hogs, and thank y'all
good.
for taking me out. So yeah, it's we've been piling up the bacon around here, man. It's been
You
good.
have been, and I tell you, this rain, it's we've been extremely dry over here in kind of deep East Texas where I'm at. I mean, really dry, and we've been getting rain. I've had about 3 inches in the last 4 days. It's been good, slow rain,
Mhm.
and everybody around here is ecstatic. They're going to get another cut in the hay, and we're still everybody's going to be short on hay, but it's
Yep.
going to be another cut, and so it's everybody's be really happy. But I'm going to tell you something. This is, I didn't think that I would, ever see this, but I think it's happened. And, we talk about how smart and adaptive hogs are, and they really are. I mean, they can get trap smart in a hurry. Anybody who's
Hmm.
trapped many hogs knows that. Even running them with dogs, they can get smart to that. They can, learn to double back. They can learn, what to do to get away from those dogs sometimes. But they've got something going on here around my place, and these hogs have adapted, and I believe this, that they have adapted to me hunting them at night.
Yeah.
And I have, you know, on my place here, we've been here 25 years, and seeing hogs in the daylight is just kind of like an anomaly of, oh, look,
Right.
late one evening, there's some hogs come out down there. And that's
Uh-huh.
just, again, a few times a year. And I know last year I probably saw hogs in the daylight maybe 2 times. And right now I am seeing hogs only in the daylight. I
Wow.
mean, it just only in the day and repeatedly, and it's not just the same group. I do have a group that I have seen several times in the daylight, late evening, but it's just getting to be different hogs now. Daylight, 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 daylight. And I mean, enough
Hmm.
that I'm seeing a pattern. And I go
Yeah.
out there night after night, I'm not seeing any hogs, and I'm thinking, it finally hit me. I'm like, well, these jokers are pretty smart because I'm
Yeah.
not shooting at them during the daylight. I mean,
Right.
I want to kill them, but I want to kill them at night. I want to go kill them
Hmm.
with thermal. I've always got a new scope or something I'm testing out. So I'll see them in the broad daylight, and I'm like, gosh, well, hope you come back tonight. I mean, it's been so dry too; they couldn't tear up
Yeah.
too much. So I'm gonna have to worry about it a little bit more now. But yesterday I had a farrier pull up here to trim the horses' hooves, and he came out and he parked his truck way up from my barn, and he texted me. He's like, "You got hogs in your pasture?" And it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. And
Yeah.
I go out there, and sure enough, there's hogs way down there, about 300
Uh,
yards. So I'm like, well,
makes
I've
you
trained
sick.
them. I've
Yeah.
trained them, they
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
come out at night. So
Well, they
anyway,
are smart, and anybody that says otherwise, I'm gonna tell you, I've seen the same thing, and they do. Even at one of near my house where I've shot a ton of hogs.
ton of hogs.
Here, it's really dried up, but so I'm having to go out and hunt some other properties and hunt with other people. So, but I've been fortunate. But I also want to tell you, hey, we've got a couple new additions to our family.
Really?
We've got, and I don't think you know this. We have two new dogs. They
Ah,
are
that's
they are
worse than babies. The new
well,
dogs are worse
exactly.
than new babies.
They are now. They're outside dogs. Now, when
Okay,
you live
good.
in the country, and you know this, when you live in the country, you don't go, you don't go buy dogs. You don't
No,
go rescue.
no.
They pretty much run up to your house and never
Yes,
leave.
that's right.
So that's how we've always gotten our dogs in the past. And they are two. They're young. They're young dogs. They're not puppies, but they're young, and they're brothers. Chocolate lab looking dogs,
Hmm.
and they look like they might be pretty decent hog dogs. They seem interested in chasing through the woods, and I know they're trying to pick up the trails, but
you'll be out there running them.
They almost look identical. And you know what I named them?
What?
Poncho and Lefty, after the Willie Nelson song. It's funny to hear my 10-year-old and 6-year-old daughter running around yelling Poncho and Lefty, come here.
I was afraid that your wife might have named them Hans and Jason, but that's.
Oh gosh, no! Only if she wanted to beat him, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
But so we got 2 new additions to the family, and they are tearing everything up, and they're digging in the trash and digging the yard, and I come home cussing at them every day. But my daughter loves them, and
that's right.
they'll grow out of it, hopefully. But hey, also I want to give a shout out to Diamondback Firearms, because they have sent me. Now I've been a big user of Diamondback for a number of years now. I've used their AR-15 223 for a long time. When I started out shooting hogs, I moved over to the AR-10 308, used that for a long time, and they sent me a 6.5 Creedmoor on an AR-10 platform to use, and I got it last week, and I've used it now. I've taken it out on 3 hunts, and I've shot the first kill with it was a coyote at a pretty good distance away, and I shot a couple hogs with it. And I wanted to thank them because they're supporting Texas hog hunters. They are real big on social media. Check them out, Diamondback Firearms. They make a great product, and I tell you, it's reasonably priced. And I've had great success with them. I love the rifles, and I appreciate them sending the rifle and giving me a chance to check it out. It's a 20-inch long barrel. The thing, I feel like a sniper walking through the woods with this thing.
Wait till you put your can on there. When you get that suppressor on there, man, you're going to be dragging the ground.
I feel like I need to be like running around with a ghillie suit on, and
we can make that happen.
Yeah, exactly. And laying down in the grass and just waiting for hogs, like a sniper. But that thing, it drives nails, and it's fun to shoot.
Great.
Low recoil. It's so much different than the 308 with the recoil and all that. It's just a smooth gun. So thank you to Diamondback. I know they check out the show and they listen, and I want to give them tip my hat to them. So
absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Sure. Thanks, Diamondback. But, that's cool. Hey, real quick, I got a quick question. How does that 6.5 Creedmoor on the AR-10 platform, does it weigh close to what your 308 does?
I looked at the weight today. Officially, it was like 9.1 pounds without a scope on it. So yeah, it's pretty comparable.
Yeah,
I would say. And I held up both of them at the same time just to feel, and they feel pretty similar. I don't know the exact weight of the 308, but yeah, I would say it's pretty close. The 308 that I have is an 18-inch barrel. The 6.5 obviously is a 20-inch barrel, and that probably is a little bit of why it makes it a little bit similar. But the barrel diameter, barrel diameter is the same size. It's on the AR-10 platform, so yeah, it's close.
Good.
But it's in my the desert earth. What they call it, the flat desert earth, or something like that.
Flat dark earth. Yep.
Flat dark earth,
FDE.
yeah, that's what it was called, FDE, and so I love that color, and man, I've already gotten off to a hot start with it. So
good.
Been killing some hogs, and man, it's like I said, I'm snipering out there with going out there, and I'm taking headshots only now from now on.
All right.
With that 6.5.
I'm ready to see some headshots.
Hey, today's show, we're going to get right on into it. It's one that you and I've talked about for a while, because we've wanted to do this show, and we wanted to get some things out of the way first before we could do it. Also, one of our listeners emailed us, Jose Romero. He asked this question, and I said, you know what? I think it's about time to do this show. But today, we want to do a comparison. This is really the first comparison or thermal scope comparison podcast show that we've done. And what we're comparing today is the Pulsar Core RXQ30V and the Flir Thermostat Pro PTS233. And I'm going to mess that up, and I'm going to call it a 223. But no, it's the Flir PTS233. So we're comparing those. So Jason and I are going to run down the specs of both. And then towards the end, we're going to give which one we prefer.
Yeah.
Because we've used both of them a lot, and we've both made some videos about them. So, first thing, Jason's going to run down the specs of the Core, and then I'm going to follow up with the 233. But go ahead and kick it off, Jason.
I think this is going to be fun because Hans and I haven't really talked this out to We've talked about both these scopes a lot in the past, but we haven't decided or talked beforehand to know, like, I don't know what he's going to say, which one he chooses, and what his reasoning is going to be. So I think it's going to be fun. If you missed it, we have done not only YouTube videos, both of us, you can go find those, on YouTube. But we did in the Late Night Vision show, we did a podcast on each separately, the Pulsar Core RXQ30V, a full review, and the Flir Thermosight Pro PTS233. So you can just go back to the other podcast, to the main episode list, and search for those if you have an interest to really hear us dig in to one of those scopes or the other. So jumping right in, I wrote the specs down because we always joke that I always leave something out, but I wrote them down, and this way, Hans has his list, and it's going to hopefully be very similar as we kind of go through these, so you'll be able to get that head-to-head comparison. The Pulsar Core RXQ30V, it is one of the least expensive thermal rifle scopes on the market, and it is at $1,899. And it has a 1.6 power optical magnification. It has digital zoom that takes it up to a 6.4 power. It is 17 microns, and it is 384 by 288 thermal core resolution. It has a 50 hertz refresh rate. It has a 22 millimeter objective lens. It has no video out options. There is no way to record video, no way to stream video. The video does not come out of the unit. It takes two CR123A batteries. It also has the option for external USB battery packs. So you can use pretty much any external USB battery pack with it. It has a fixed focus lens. You can focus the rear eyepiece. That's common on all scopes or all thermal scopes, but you cannot focus the objective lens. And kind of one of the trademark features of the RXQ is that it has a green tint over the display. So it's black and white, but everything is tinted green. Now, one thing that is worth pointing out is the only two color palettes in it are white hot and black hot. Features that it does have that are unique to Pulsar are the picture-in-picture. That's a cool function, and then it also has the one-shot zero, and pretty much any of the other features that the higher-end Pulsar scopes have, just the normal internal features it does have. But one-shot zero and picture-in-picture are the two that most people ask about. So I don't think I left anything out. Go ahead and give us the rundown on the 233.
Yeah, you did real good. So the Flir Thermosight Pro PTS233, the price is $21.99. It starts out on a base magnification of 1.5, and it is a digital zoom, and it goes up to a 6 power magnification. It is 12 microns. It's a 320 by 256 Boson thermal core resolution with a 60 hertz refresh rate, and the lens diameter is 19 millimeters. It does have the internal video recorder, as well as the same as the Pulsar. It runs on two CR123A batteries, and it has the external battery pack option. This one has 7 different color palettes. It is a fixed focus lens, so you cannot adjust the objective part of it, the front part of it, but you can adjust the eyepiece diopter. And it does come with a QD mount that you can take the scope off the rifle and return it back to zero. So that is a rundown of the PTS233. There were some similarities and also some differences. So we're going to get into, I'm going to talk a little bit about what my preference, because I've used both of them, and really when it came down to my decision as far as which one I liked better, I'm going to tell you, and I think you're going to disagree, but I felt like that I liked, well, first of all, I prefer.
Wait a minute. I'm going to stop you. You're gonna tell them right now, right out of the gate, right, which one you like the best. No build up.
Put me on the spot.
No build up. No nothing. Golly. Everybody's going to just
I'm politicking. I'm politicking.
everybody's going to turn off the podcast. Well, we already know what Hans says. Okay, turn it off. I'm
Yeah.
just teasing. All right,
Yep.
so
No.
what is it? I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you, I prefer the 233,
Okay.
and I'm going to tell you why. I prefer what I've been used to is, the thermal image that it produces, the color palettes. I like the white hot for identification. I like the black hot for taking shots. There's other color palettes that I could really not care anything
Right.
about, but a lot of people like them. And so having those options, I think, are attractive. But I think that, to me, just through using the scope and using that 233 as much as I have, I use the core quite a bit, but I definitely use that 233
Sure.
more. And I'll tell you, I think that the thermal image through the Flir was better. And I know that's where we're going to disagree. But I feel like I felt like it was better. And just like the PTS 536 and the 736 were lower resolution than some of the other scopes that they've been compared to, they've produced great thermal images. And I think that the 233 produces a very good thermal image for a scope that's a 320 and a 19 millimeter objective lens. I think it produces a great thermal image. I like also the fact that, and I don't want to harp on this too much, but I like the fact that it does have the internal video recorder that is built in, and that, it's a lot of people out there, more and more people want to record their hunts, and it's for when you're talking about a difference of, a few $100s, I think for the money, you're getting a lot for what you're paying for, and that is quality and the things that you're getting. I like the QD mount that that comes with it. One thing I do like about the Pulsar that I wish that the Flir did, and that I use a lot, is the picture-in-picture. So I wish that it had that. But still, I'm going to say overall, I prefer, and I'm a Pulsar guy. I use Pulsar, the Trail XP50s, the Trail XQ30As. I love them, and I suggest them all day long. But in this head-to-head, I'm going to say I prefer the 233.
Well, I think I've already probably tipped my hand to what I'm going to say by my grunts and groans over here. Well,
right.
I'd say this. I don't disagree that the 233 is a great scope. I really do like it. There are some cool features on it. I just think that if this is tough, which one do I choose? Or, oh man, see, this is where they're so close. And this is the thing that I talk to customers about that you've got to understand, especially if you've never used these two, either one of them.
Mm-hmm.
They are so similar. And I know that I gave the specs of the RXQs and Hans gave the specs of the 233. But if you line those up on paper and you put them side by side, what you're going to see is they are extremely similar. They're extremely similar all the way down to the size and shape of the unit. They are they're compact, they're smaller, they're lighter weight. I'm just, look real quick, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to go over a couple of these specs. A 1.6 power for the RXQ versus a 1.5 power for the 233. That's negligible. Same thing.
Right.
You got the 17 microns on the RXQ versus the 12 on the 233. 12 wins, no question. All right, that's an improvement. It's a good improvement, and so 12 wins. Then you go down to the resolution, 384 by 288 versus the Flir 320 by 256. Okay, clearly the Pulsar wins. Now, it's not a lot of pixels, 384 versus 320, but it's a decent enough amount. What I think that does is I think that it negates the 12 microns where the Flir won. I mean, they got that check, but I think that the Pulsar, picks up the check over here, the check box with the extra pixels, and I really feel like that evens those two out. Also, it's not much, but a 22 millimeter objective lens is just slightly larger than that 19 millimeter on the 233. And, again, the two CR123 batteries, all those things, They're just extremely similar, and we're talking about $300 in difference. So again, there's no video.
Well, and don't forget that, the 60 hertz refresh rate on
that's right.
The Flir, and it's a little bit, but
that's negligible. But no, you're right. It's 50. I'm sorry, I didn't even mention that. 50 hertz versus 60 hertz in the refresh rate, and being dead serious, no joking around, that is negligible. I personally believe that for 95% of the people in the normal hunting conditions, the difference in 30 hertz and 50 or 60 hertz is almost unnoticeable. So I don't think it's a big deal. But yeah, 50, 60 hertz, that's great. And that's really good. They both got it, and they've managed to get those in both these scopes, get that higher refresh rate without sacrificing, battery life. That was a big deal in the old days, is if you went to a 60 hertz refresh rate, you gave up battery life. And these manufacturers are figuring out how to do that without giving up the battery life. So the two scopes are really, really, really similar. I think the one thing that turns a lot of people off, and I think this is turning you off, is that emerald green tint over the display on the RXQ. And I need to speak to that because that is a really big deal to a lot of people, and it gets brought up a lot. And I know you didn't mention it, but I really do think that's what's holding you back, even if it's subconscious. Even if it's subconscious, I think it's there.
I don't prefer. I mean, I prefer the option of the white hot and the black hot, and that's and I think there are a lot of people out there that would agree, but there are other people out there that prefer the green tint. So, but that is for me. That's one of the personal reasons why I do prefer.
Well, I'll be very clear up front and tell you right now that I think that the green tint was a mistake. I think, and this is all me talking, I have no proof of this. Nobody from Pulsar's told me this. I think it was some sort of a test. I think it was a test run to see what people thought of it. It's also in the Pulsar Core, the two clip-on models. I just think it was a test. Again, just my wild speculation, conspiracy theory. And I believe I've used that core a lot. I do believe that green tint is easier on the eye than the bright white. But I guess it's like this. When I'm using the scope, I don't think about it. It does not bother me. But when I'm done and then I think back and I'm like, I really don't. I wish it wasn't green. Wish it was, just black and white. But when I'm using it, I'm never like, oh, I hate this. But I always want to be clear to any potential customers who might buy the RXQ. I let them know, hey, up front, it's got this. What I found is someone who has never owned thermal, it is just zero, negligible, no factor, doesn't matter at all because they don't know any difference. I do know that some guys who have used thermal don't like it. On the other hand, what I'm seeing more and more is, I sold one this week, one of the RXQs, to a guy who already has an XP50, and he had used a buddy's RXQ, whatever, they're on a hunt together. He loved it, and he said, I'm buying this as a buddy scope, and I'm going to use it as a handheld when I don't have a buddy with me. And I asked him about the green tint. He goes, doesn't bother me. I don't mind it at all. I sold one to another guy the other day that he owned an Apex XQ38, and he bought an RXQ, same thing. He's going to buy it for a buddy scope, and I talked to him 2 weeks ago. He called me, and I said, hey, have you used that? He goes, man, I've been hunting with it just to play with it instead of my Apex. And he goes, man, I don't mind the green. I don't notice it. He's like, no big deal. So I think it just depends. But there are some guys, no question, don't like it. There's just now. This is what I was going to say that I think is kind of silly. Pulsar could essentially do the exact same thing in a color palette. They didn't have to make this permanent. I don't know why they did that. They could have put, a color palette. They've got some different color palettes in the Helions. They could have done it where you do that and it drops a green tint over it digitally. Again, I just don't know exactly why they did. So, that's just kind of me hashing out between these two. I really do like the RXQ for what it is, for the money. Um, I would absolutely use it and never think twice about it. I did. I killed a lot of hogs with it. If you want to, okay, well, here it is. This is the way it is comes down when I tell customers all the time. I think that it is so similar to the 233. At the end of the day, you make your decision based on whether you want to record video or not. If you say, man, I don't care anything about recording video, I'm going out there to slaughter hogs and coyotes and varmints, and I don't have to be a YouTube star and show my friends, then you might as well, in my opinion, you might as well save $300 and buy the RXQ and go hunting. If you say I think I want video or I have to have video, then there's not even a choice. You buy the 233. I mean, I think it's that easy to make the decision. So, you know, it's hard for me to come down and say which one I choose, because then you and I talk about this all the time. In the business that I'm in, doing what I do, doing what you do, Hans, we want video recording. So we're always going to choose the scope with video recording. I mean, but if you and I weren't doing this, I think that would be different. We might have a different opinion, but that weighs so heavy on you and I. So honestly, I want to call it a toss-up, but there's one place I will disagree. I think that the RXQ has a slightly better image quality than the 233. I do.
And I won't disagree with that.
We had a good disagreement going, and then you gave in that easy.
But I will tell you, and I would tell you though, the green tint for me is just not. To me, it throws me off, and it makes me feel like the image is, because it's not something that I prefer. And I agree with you on the video recording. If you want video recording, you don't really have a choice as far as what you're going to get. But when people are new into thermal, and all of the videos that they're seeing and watching on YouTube, or they're seeing on social medias, when they're researching these scopes, are in white hot and black hot, the vast majority of them, that green tint takes some getting used to me. And that's where, that's where I feel like that I wish that the Pulsar, if the Pulsar did have a white hot and a black hot option, no question. I mean, it would, other than, the internal video recording, the Pulsar would probably, in my opinion, be the better of the choice, as far as if you're looking for something economical and get in is, least expensive. Okay,
so I'm going to...
That green tint kills me.
Well, I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in this. And this is something that I didn't tell you and that I was going to do, and I wasn't sure, but we've talked this out, and I think I have to. This is where I get hung up on the 233. And I'm going to mention another scope. Now, I really don't want to jump into all the details, because Hans and I are going to talk about this particular scope, pretty soon in another episode. But this is, okay, so to me, $1,900. You got the RXQ, and boom, you're hunting. $2,200, again, $300 more, not the end of the world when you're at that point, but $2,200, and you've got, I think we can agree, pretty much the same quality scope, one way or the other, and you've got video recording. But now you're at $2,200. And if you spend $300 more, which, again, $300 is money, but if you spend $300 more, now you're at the Pulsar Apex XQ38, and that image quality blows the RXQ and the 233 out of the water, not in the same ball game, not in the same playing field, not even on the same planet compared to those two, and it's $300 more than the 233. Now, if you want to record video, you got to buy an external DVR. Here we go. We're adding stuff. I get this. You can just, one up, $200, $300 until you've spent $5,000. I'm not suggesting that, but to me, the difference in the RXQ at 1900 and the Apex at 2500 is a big enough gap that it's reasonable. You're like, man, you know what? I
Right.
don't want to spend that much. But when you get to 22, man, to just get to 25, and we're talking image quality that just it doesn't compare. It's so much better because it's got a larger
Yeah.
objective lens. It's got, and the biggest deal, a focusable objective. And
Well, I think it. Yeah, I think it comes down to what you said before. It's all about
it
the
is.
internal video recorder. Because if you are looking at a core and you want to step up to the Apex XQ38, you're
And
looking
that's
at
a
a seven
bunch.
hundred dollar
That's a bunch of
jump up.
money.
Yeah, that's a jump. So I agree. It's all about the internal video recorder. You hate for it to be something tied to that, but there's so many more people out there that are wanting that now, and there's still a lot of people out there that that don't care about it and just want to hunt and just want to shoot. But yeah, I mean that's when you throw that into the mix, that Apex is blows both of them out of the
It
water
does,
as
and
far as
that's where it gets tough.
picture
But
quality.
again, I
Yeah,
mean, you kind of got to make your
yeah,
decision. But one thing we can say is this: to Pulsar's credit and to Flir's credit, uh, you know, both these scopes are extremely popular. I mean, the RXQ is
hmm
so popular that not only can Pulsar not produce them fast enough, which I know what's that saying, they can't produce anything fast enough hardly, but they have, and I'm right now, I haven't heard any different. They cut off all dealer orders for that scope. I don't know what, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. No more orders for 2018. If you didn't have an order in the system, then you aren't getting another one for the whole rest of the year
hmm
because the factory said we cannot produce the amount of scopes through December of 2018 for the orders you've already submitted. Don't give us any more orders. Now, again, anything could change, but as of right now, middle of September, that hasn't changed. There's no more orders for those scopes. So, and to be clear, I don't want to cause mass
hmm
panic. It doesn't mean those scopes aren't being made. Doesn't mean dealers aren't going to get some of them. It just means that uh, they're not taking more orders. So if a dealer didn't have his
yeah,
orders in the system the day they cut it off, then he just didn't get them in, and so that dealer might
right,
not be getting any more. But anyway, that just speaks to,
right,
even though there are some things about it that you and I might go, oh man, whatever, it's still an extremely popular scope. And the same with the 233. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sitting around waiting on orders
right.
of those right now. So
Both great scopes at very good price points, very similar, with some small differences, and two great options. And that's
it
what's
is.
great about this business. What's great about the market right now is there's so many different choices out there. There's so many different pricing options right now that you can pretty much get into a decent thermal scope out of and again $1,800 is or $1,900 is not
No,
pennies.
it's
We
not. But
understand
but
that's
but
still
we go back
yeah
to 5 years ago, and you're looking at 5 grand. I mean, 3 years ago,
hmm right
and you're looking at 3 grand. And so
yeah
it's just amazing that we're sitting here comparing two scopes, $1,900 and $2,200 that are as good as some of the $3,000 and $4,000 scopes. And on top of that, one of them has internal video recording, which didn't exist 3 years ago. I mean, so this
right
industry has come a long ways in a hurry. So you're right. We're not acting like this is chump change, but compared to, it's pretty it's phenomenal.
what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, what it was. It's great, but yeah. So that I think we gave a very
I think
upfront,
so.
honest answers on it. We agreed on some and disagreed on some, but that's the great part too. Also of two different people
That's
using
right.
the same scopes, different opinions on them, but that's Jason. You've got your videos out on your channel,
I
right?
do. I,
Your
I don't have a
reviews
full review
on
on the
those scopes.
233. I've got some hog kills out. I've got that hog charge that we always talk
hmm
about that we've just beaten the ground. I've got that video. I do have a full review of the 233. Hey, that's one more thing we ought to bring up. I know we probably mentioned this back on our um, review on the podcast of I'm sorry, not the 233 of the RXQ, but do not go to YouTube and look at the RXQ review videos and watch any of the video from the scope and make your determination based on that. And I mean, that's even Hans' video. Hans had a little bit of video that he took from behind the eyepiece of that scope of a deer, and I'm not blaming him. He did as best he could do. The best video, whatever it is, I mean, I've watched all of them. The best that you can find on YouTube does not do justice. And I know there's one particular dealer, and I'm not knocking them. I know they were trying their best. They did a split screen showing side by side the 233 and the RXQ, and they put them, again, the video side by side. And I've had several people call me and say, oh man, there's just no way I could ever buy that RXQ because the image quality is just like dirt. And I'm like, whoa. And they mentioned that particular video. And again, I'm not beating that dealer up. They were trying their best. You just can't put, especially behind this RXQ, just the way that it's made, you can't get a phone or a camera behind there, or at least nobody's been able to do it yet. I hope somebody proves me wrong and goes out there and does it, but you just can't get an image that compares to what you're actually seeing through the eyepiece. And so I just want to mention that. A lot of guys, I mean, YouTube is the place you go to look, and you go look at those videos, and anybody would agree that the RXQ looks terrible there. And that's not a fair representation. So, well, hey, I tell you what, I know we've kind of, wrapped this up, but I don't want to get into too many details. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag exactly, but I am going to say I talked to someone today and secured another interview that we're going to be having very soon, and it is going to be a interview that we do all about NFA Gun Trusts. So we're going to get a lot of questions and answers, get it out there on Gun Trust. If you're looking at getting any kind of a suppressor or any kind of another NFA item, maybe something short barrel or a full auto, but a lot of guys are asking about getting cans to put on their rifles, and it always comes up. Well, do I need a trust? Do I not need a trust? What is a trust? And we are going to have an expert come on the show, do some interviews with him on this, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I talked to him today, and again, I'm not going to give any more details, but I think it's going to be coming up really soon, and I'm excited about it because I know Hans and I both have trust, but it's anything dealing with the federal government and the federal laws. I always have a ton of questions, and so I think it's going to be a fun interview. Yeah.
I'm excited about it. Yeah, I definitely have a ton of questions, and I've gone through the process recently, and the gentleman that we are having on helped me, and I know he helped you, and he knows more about it than
I know.
I'll ever even care to know.
He's great.
So if you definitely tune in next week, because you'll want to hear what he has to say, and I think it kind of relates to a lot of people out there that are going through this, because shooting with suppressors and cans is just as popular as night vision and thermal hunting. The two almost go hand in hand these days.
It's going to be great.
So it's going to be a great interview.
Well, look, we're going to wrap this thing up, and as always, if you've got any questions that we didn't answer, or something else that came up, you can feel free to contact me. You can find me at outdoorlegacygear.com. That's where obviously everything is at my store, but you can call me anytime. 877-350-1818. I'll be glad to answer your questions and help you in any way that I can. You can also find me on YouTube, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram as well. And like, subscribe, follow, do all those great things, and it would be greatly appreciated. But also, if you've got questions and things that maybe it's just something, a general question, feel free to call us at the Late Night Vision Show. Leave a message on our voicemail. Again, if it's a question about the show, if it's a show suggestion, a topic suggestion, feedback, if you hate Hans, if you want to let us know anything, call us. It's 903-833-44 888-646-6161. Just leave us your first name and leave us a great voicemail, and we would love to use it on a viewer feedback. But Hans, go ahead and tell them where they can find the rest of
Yeah.
the places the Late Night Vision show's at, and where they can find you.
So check out the Late Night Vision Show on YouTube, the YouTube channel. It's growing, man. People love checking out the podcast too, also on YouTube, and seeing the video. I guess they like seeing both of us, or maybe they like making fun of us. But hey, check out this show on YouTube if you get a chance, because I might just throw up a picture of Poncho and Lefty just so everybody can see. So check us out there. You can check me out also on YouTube. It's Hans ETX, HANSETX, and also on Instagram. Same thing, HANSETX. But we appreciate y'all checking us out this week, and we love doing the comparison shows. I'm sure we're going to be doing it again, but definitely check us out next week for the interview with our special guest. He's got a lot of information. So for Jason and I, we're going to tune out now. We're going to try to get out in the fields and shoot a hog, but we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for tuning in.